I don't think it can exist again. So... the button's right there. So if I'm gonna press it ever, it's now. And the thing that I built this nation for doesn't exist anymore. The thing I worked towards doesn't exist anymore. It's over.
What are you doing?
I rewatched Dawn of the 16th, and there are some really interesting small details in November 16th that I don't think a lot of people talk about, because the major ones are Wilbur and the explosion, and then also Techno's character is talked about a lot. So there's a lot of little details in November 16th that I noticed when watching the Saddest video that Saddest included, and I don't see a lot of people talking about it, but I'd like to bring up, and one of them is Schlatt and Fundy's relationship.
Oh.
Because when Schlatt was elected and took over, Fundy almost immediately switched sides and was all for Schlatt being president and being under Schlatt. In his streams and at the end toward the revolution, he revealed he was a spy.
Yeah, I was sure you had betrayed Nikki. You'd gone against everyone.
Yeah. I've gone against everyone. Here's my plan.
Hey, what's your plan?
I want to be on Schlatt's good side.
Yeah?
I want to do everything I can to make Schlatt trust me.
Okay.
I want to destroy everything Schlatt wants me to destroy just to be on his good side. And then when the opportunity strikes, I want to take him down from the inside.
And he had this book that documented how much Schlatt's health was failing and how much he despised working under him. And then, in Schlatt's final moments, Fundy and Schlatt had a conversation that Fundy was excited for all of Schlatt's plan, which contradicts what he was writing in his book. So I was just thinking, what's the truth?
He was also in a really tough spot with the Manberg. He's not even in the anthem.
Now it means you've got like a week until Fundy's in charge of the Manberg.
Yeah, it's fine though, because I'll change.
Guys, tell me above me.
I'll change the law. I'll change the law before Fundy overtakes me. It's fine.
No.
He was belittled and ignored for most of the Manberg's history. And I think at some point when Wilbur talked about the election and he saw that other people were trying to run for president, he saw an opportunity to present himself as worthy, kind of the same way that Sapnap does it with Dream, by like going against him and proving to him that he can fight against him. I think Fundy did that with Wilbur too. A rivalry in some level can be a proof of respect.
Yeah, and following off of that, Ryan, I do believe that at least for a bit in the beginning, Fundy legitimately did see something good in Schlatt, like, especially with Schlatt paying more attention to him than Wilbur did. I think Fundy did legitimately, at least in the beginning, believe in Schlatt's ideals, but as things went on, he could see that, yeah, this isn't going right.
I don't think so. I think he projected his own dream on Schlatt more than he saw a dream in Schlatt.
Good on Schlatt's side. I have once again been promoted to a new position.
I think what Fundy wanted to do was to be in charge of the Manberg, and he wanted to change it, and Wilbur was so dead set on what the Manberg was supposed to be. So he was powerless, and I think the arrival of Schlatt was both a good thing for him because there was finally someone opposing Wilbur, and at the same time someone who ridiculously wanted to change things, and he wanted to see that, just like I believe Quackity wanted to see that too. And I think that's why they both allied to Schlatt, even though Schlatt was obviously not having an ideal for the Manberg. he was obviously a terrible person right from the get-go. You could not ignore it. Because if we look at Fundy and the way he says, you had a dream and I followed it, I think he's saying that kind of for the drama and also to clean himself. I think deep down he knows, and he knew right from the get-go, this man didn't have any dream for Manberg besides destroy it and make the people hurt. But he really, really, really wanted to change, and he was hoping, I think, to find a way to make himself worthy in the eyes of the others.
See, that last part's interesting, because I really do feel like that's what Fundy wanted. He wanted people to think he was worthy. He wanted respect. He didn't even have a government position aside from Little Champion. That was his official government position.
I think you're on the right track, but I don't think he necessarily even wanted respect as much as he wanted to be acknowledged and be a part of something. Like, later on in the story, we all know Quackity goes and Las Nevadas starts to form, and Quackity's first target is Fundy, because he knows as soon as he starts giving Fundy approval of any sort, Fundy's gonna be entirely on board. You know, I think that Fundy's just a people pleaser. I can't remember where it is, but I feel like there is some iconic little monologue or something about Fundy being jealous of Tommy for that reason. Because Wilbur was proud of Tommy. Wilbur wasn't necessarily proud of Fundy.
What happened?
What did you do? How did you
Elaborate.
negotiate this?
Sorry, I gave up the discs.
My right hand man, Tommy in it. What the? You get over here. What I'm trying to say is, Fundy, I despise you. You were my son, and you just betrayed me.
That conversation with Schlatt was after he got rejected by Wilbur like that, where he's just kind of wandering without anything to tether him down in a way. It makes sense to me for him to try and get Schlatt to be like, yeah, I'm proud of you, Fundy. That makes sense to me.
Yeah, I think it does.
Yeah, that does add something to it.
I had so many things. I had Manberg, I had Philza, I had you, I had friends, I had Las Nevadas, I had when Schlatt was leading, I had when Tubbo was leading, I was in the revolt, I was in everything. But you know what I wasn't? I wasn't cared about. I was in everything, but no one cared. No one cared. I was always tossed aside.
We've talked a little bit about, like, quote-unquote, the end of Schlatt. Schlatt disappears, and it's like, oh yeah, he's drunk, he dies. What were Schlatt's last words? Do any of you remember?
Patty patty.
Patty patty.
What?
I was just lying. I was just trying to make you guys scared.
Huh? What's he saying?
He said Flatty Patty. Are you goddamn kidding me? Are you kidding? Really?
Were those his last words, or was that his ghost? It's still unclear.
Okay, fair.
So Flatty Patty, he came back in and did the echo.
But I remember Wilbur said, Chat, what are your last words? And he didn't say anything.
He says, does
Then he
anyone smell
died.
toast?
Does anyone
Oh.
smell toast?
Oh, did he say that?
Which is a funny example of miscommunication, because Schlatt smelling toast isn't a symbol of a heart attack, it's a symbol of a stroke.
It's a symbol of a stroke.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
So clearly Schlatt made a decision in his character to have himself die of a stroke, but clearly Tubbo was still following the original script, which was that Schlatt had a heart attack.
It's so
Yeah.
What better is imagining that content creator Schlatt just wasn't sure and just went for it. But the thing about Flat Patty is that everyone kind of laughs about it, but as our resident Quackity expert, it's a little bit deeper than that. And for me, it's almost a symbol that Schlatt doesn't die until Quackity's internal battle with the impact Schlatt made on him dies.
Alongside that, Schlatt doesn't die until he does, because man saved his heart.
I think serving next to Schlatt as a vice president taught me a lot of important things in the world. More importantly, aside of him, that I don't think many of you really knew. But if there's one thing I could say about Schlatt is that,
Hey, that motherfucker's dead! Let's go! His heart is within me now! His heart is within me now! Let's go! He's dead! Woo!
did you just eat his heart?
Yeah.
The Flatty Patty line, whether that's Schlatt or Schlatt, they're still, part of the same person. That's how his story, quote unquote, ends. It's not humor, it's not dramatics, it's right directed to the one person he had the biggest impact on. No one else is gonna fully get the impact of that insult on Quackity in that moment. Schlatt's in a room full of people when he dies, but he's only talking to one person. Schlatt and Quackity's story is not a happy one. It's honestly one of the darkest in the DreamSMP plotline. There's so much hurt going on behind all the humor between them. Obviously, the content creators are chill. So, disclaimer, we're talking about characters. But, even with Quackity's whole thing being legacy, that is Schlatt's legacy. That's what he's leaving behind.
A poor taste in everyone's mouth?
Kind of, yeah. What he's really leaving behind is someone no one understood. He says that and everyone laughs. It's not like the classic, oh, my Blurbo is so misunderstood. It's Schlatt's true intentions and his mentality and mindset are just so misunderstood by the majority of the other characters.
The time of expansion for a great city. I'm not going to sit here and let you tell me what we are not going to
I have an idea.
No one even really tries to see what's actually going on there. I think of the characters, of course, the fandom, yeah. We overanalyze every single moment of this entire thing.
It's surprising we've managed to cover so many different topics, and it still feels like we're barely scratching the surface. The way I see it, November 16th is kind of a nexus for everything. It's the very first time on the server when every storyline came together. Apart from maybe the original Revolutionary War. That was a far smaller crossover. November 16th, everything came together. Everything connects and leads up to it, in probably a similar way to Doomsday.
Yeah, even smaller things like the Badlands even connected to it.
I'd say November 16th and Doomsday are the only times on the server when every single storyline came together.
Even the Pet Wars. Like, literally everything tied in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Pet Wars is so freaking interesting. It says a lot about how both Fundy and Sapnap work as people and as people in character.
We need a video just about Fundy, too. And then
I want to talk about, but it has nothing to say, so I'm gonna...
We need to stay on topic, please.
I forgot that there was a Manberg War Flag.
Though I've seen that more as, like, Dream's side.
The day before the actual battle, there's this moment where Carl goes around and gives a bunch of Pogtopian aligned characters these Manberg War Flags.
Here, I got you. Here, I'll do this even better for you.
Okay. Thank you, Carl.
It makes me think of airborne leaflet propaganda, like papers dropping from the sky telling stories of like the doom that's gonna come later that day. Like, it was psychological warfare where they would literally pack these like cluster bombs full of pamphlets about like, if you defect, we'll reward you with money or whatever. But it was also an intimidation thing. It's psychological warfare, and that's exactly what Carl's doing by giving these Manberg War Flags. There's a war happening. This was created by Dream, probably one of the best fighters on this server, rivaled only by Technoblade. You're not gonna survive this.
Maybe.
I mean, Schlatt never actually went to war under that flag. I think that's something worth remembering.
Yeah, he instantly hid.
Well, not instantly, because there is a moment when they're storming the tower that you can actually see Schlatt on the tower fighting back.
Yeah,
true.
So he was there for a minute, but then he left and retreated.
It's more interesting to me that Schlatt retreated than like the idea that he never fought at all.
The script says he never shows up. That's just one of the changes that they did make.
That's even more interesting. That means it was a character choice by Schlatt, the content creator.
Yeah, the script actually makes it seem as if it was part of the plan that Schlatt didn't show up. Here, Dream says he will only give up the location of Schlatt if we can beat him and his goons.
Dream, pretty much pulls Wilbur aside and is just like, okay, just come on. Let me show you this. To me, Dream seems kind of annoyed.
Yeah, I mean, Schlatt's an idiot. We've been down this route before.
But he's more of an idiot than you would think.
I feel like that was a choice on Dream's part because it gives him a reason that stays consistent to his character as to surrender.
Yeah.
The script makes it seem more like they fought and Pogtopia won, and then Dream went, well, I don't care, I've already got what I want from Schlatt. That in lore, it wasn't even planned that Schlatt left, that he just abandoned Dream without any warning. That really makes sense as to why Dream abandoned him in turn.
Dream is actually an interesting study in loyalty.
Dream has loyalty to no one. He's only loyal to himself.
He and Puns are loyal to each other.
Yeah, because Puns follows his ideals.
But I do think that it's mutual.
I believe it's because Puns believes in Dream too, but if Puns suddenly went against his ideals, they wouldn't be friends anymore, I don't think.
Most people are loyal to their friends because they want their friends to stay friends.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone, to some degree, does things in their own self-interest. It's just that Dream doesn't care about friends, he cares about allies. He isn't loyal to people who he enjoys hanging out with or that has nice chats with. That's why he eventually abandons George and Sapnap, because they were friends but they weren't strong allies.
I mean, obviously George understands. George is better, but can you understand, George? Sapnap, stop. Why are you trying to divide us?
He doesn't want to lose Puns as an ally, but I think he does like Puns a lot. It's more so that he wants to follow his own path, his own ideals, and that makes him do terrible things because he believes that whatever this objective he has is above everything else. It's above friendship, it's above decency, it's above morality, it's just above everything. Therefore, if you have to kill someone to go there to that objective, then you have to kill someone. If it's your best friend, you kill your best friend. He's loyal to those objectives of his. The first time Techno logged in, Dream came to him with gifts, even though they had canonically never talked. Dream knows that Techno is super strong and would be able to either help him or bring him to his grave. So he's extremely loyal to him because he doesn't want to piss him off. But it's not about Dream. So let's move on.
But
It's interesting to bring up Dream's loyalty in regards to Schlatt or in regards to Pogtopia too, because at one point Dream was loyal to Pogtopia and aiding Pogtopia in their fight against Manberg, but switched sides because of the Revive book.
You know why he was with Pogtopia?
Sounds like you know.
Yes, I do.
Yeah,
he was with Pogtopia because he didn't like Schlatt, and Schlatt wanted to tear the walls to expand into the rest of DreamSMP. He wanted to actually make the borders bigger.
The other element of that was Wilbur. He could see the spiral Wilbur was going down, and he wanted Wilbur to destroy Manberg, and he could provide the opportunity and resources to do that.
That's such a controversial point, because people still don't agree on whether Dream predicted Wilbur's spiral or not.
I think this has an interesting detail to it about the unconventional way in which the DreamSMP has been produced. I think that a year, I don't know how long later it was, Dream actually almost belatedly established his earlier character as being very, very able to almost predict what's going to happen, able to see the future.
A Death Note level of intelligence.
We have now seen Dream canonically predict everyone's actions to get himself put in prison with only one person's help. Not killed, but put in prison right where he wanted to be. It's kind of dubious whether or not Dream, at the time of Wilbur's descent into madness, whether Dream was canonically seeing that pattern at the time. But I think now, 2 years later, as we're looking at it, I think it's very clear that with the details Dream has later provided about his character, that it's it fits with the pattern that Dream did canonically see Wilbur's descent before anyone else did.
Oh, well, I've got one more point on Dream. His dethroning of Eret.
Oh
There's a
my
reason
God.
that Satis chose to put that at the beginning of her Dawn of the 16th video.
Oh yeah.
November 16th is the moment when he seizes power over Manberg by taking down the one person who could truly fight him, Wilbur. His dethroning of Eret. We all know that Eret didn't do anything as a king.
DreamSMP is its own thing, and it's joining officially Manberg's side, because Dream is going to fight with them. And so Eret, whose friends lies with Pogtopia, wants to help their friends and not fight with the Manberg side. Eret is like the Queen of England. She cannot just give opinions and help sides, especially political sides, without there having consequences. What Eret likes the most at the time is the power and the crown. The power not really because there isn't any power. Position in itself is so valuable to her that she's unable to make the decision to be like, oh, okay, I'm just gonna go help my friends. And she has to be booted out of the throne. The thing that she says is, we can band together with the Pogtopia side and maybe overthrow Dream. But at the time, they're fighting Schlatt. Dream is just a mercenary in a way. Like later, she tries to say that like Ranbu, she couldn't pick sides, which is fully untrue because she was never, like Ranbu had two sides of friends. For example, he couldn't choose between Manberg and Technoblade and Tommy. Eret never had to choose between two sides of friends. Eret was never friend with the Dream Team. She had to choose between helping her friends and the crown. At the same time, it's so freaking good. It's just like, you cannot be both at the same time. You cannot go to buy butter and go out of the store with the money and the butter in your pocket.
I don't know where that metaphor was supposed to go, but I do get what you're saying.
I get the picture.
It's a saying. It's a saying in French.
I like that you were drawn to analyzing how Eret responded, whereas I was immediately drawn to the concept of this was just showing how unimportant the throne was. For Dream, it's just like, you're my special person.
It's really interesting to hear both Jem and Ryan's perspectives on this, because Jem, when you started talking about this, I think you were focusing on Dream's lines, and Ryan's focusing on Dream's actions. What was he doing versus what was his motives?
Him taking it back isn't really that meaningful in lore, just as the throne is a symbol. Him taking it back should be considered a symbol of him taking back the balance of power on the server later that same day.
Like, you know, he gave power, but in a way he never really did. He never gave power, and he said so from the beginning, and he's taking that back. He's just making himself clear.
At the end of November 16th, Dream was the real winner.
Yeah.
Always the winner. It's the DreamSMP.
As he said, in the end, chaos wins.